Hello, Daniela. Hello.
Yes.
It seems we have lost our teacher. Let's wait for him.
Okay.
Okay. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we talked about the various principles and we listed a number of them last time. So we talked about things like completeness, we talked about concrete, courtesy, correctness, clarity, considerate, and others. Those were the principles that we discussed the other time. Then for today, we just want us to proceed from there and look at other details about communication. And for that matter, we would like ourselves to consider the communication process. And under that, we say that since it is a process, it involves a step-by-step activity. So there are various stages that the message goes through. We have the sender who encodes the message, then the message moves to the receiver
So you're
through a
breaking.
decoding stage, and then we would like to know what are the different terms in here. What do you mean? Sorry?
You are breaking.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. Let's try and fix that. I was saying that we have different players in the process of communication, where we have the sender encoding the message, then decoding of the message. Let's start with the sender. When we talk about a sender, we are saying that this is the source of the message. So in the communication process, there must be that person who initiates the thought or the idea of transferring information. So the source is the one we are referring to as the sender. This is the person who comes up with the idea of passing on a message. Yes, it can be a thought, it can be an idea, then he has to translate it into a meaningful information. And by doing that, we go to what you call encoding. And we are saying that this is when the receiver translates the idea into some symbols like words, gestures that the receiver can understand. So the sender has a task of putting his message into a style or a format that the receiver will understand. For example, if you know very well that you're going to communicate to a blind, okay, what is the appropriate method that you're going to use? If you're going to communicate to the deaf, what is the appropriate method that you're going to apply? And what type of message are you going to use? Because that one will dictate whether to use a letter, whether to use symbols, whether to use graphs, depending on the side of the receiver or how she can understand that message. Moving on, we have the message. Can you please read for me what a message means?
Pardon?
We have the third content in the communication process, and that is the message. So I'm requesting you read for me what a message means on your screen.
I can't see. I can't see what. I'm only seeing your name. I'm not seeing the other things.
You're not seeing the screen there? Okay.
Yes, I'm not.
Okay, let's share it. Daniela, can you see the screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so it is down there. You read for me what you are seeing under message.
This is the very information that the sender wants to pass on to the receiver. It can be oral, written, or gestures so as to appear meaningful to the receiver.
Okay, so we're saying that when you talk of the message, it is the very information. What is that information we want to pass on? For example, when we look at the previous screen that we had, or the previous slide that we had, it was showing some information that this lady, or Sarah, we named her as Sarah, that she wanted to pass on a message to John. That's the name we gave him the other time. So the message was, your food smells delicious. So that was the message. And for us, we are saying the message is the very information. What is that you want to pass on? Okay, it can be an instruction, it can be an order, but provided you can put it in a format that the receiver can understand, then for us, we call that a message. And moving forward, we have another content still. That one moves, let's move on to the next one. The next one is what you call the receiver. And we're saying this is the person to whom the message is intended, or the person who is going to receive the message is the very person we're referring to as the receiver. So for the previous slide, we had our John and we had Sarah the other side. So for that matter, John becomes the receiver because he's the person to whom the message is being sent to. Thereafter, we also have what you call decoding. When we talk of decoding, we mean that it's the process by which the receiver interprets the message, and translates it into meaningful information. Before the message reaches, or before the receiver interprets the message, to the receiver, the message is just noise. You cannot say that I received information, yet you don't even know its meaning, or you have not interpreted what it means. So before you interpret, it remains noise, okay, until when you interpret it. Moving on, we have what you call the feedback. Okay, feedback, we are saying that this is the response or reaction to the sender's message. The reaction to the sender's message. And we are saying your reaction can be just by nodding, it can be by letter writing, or another person may just react by just doing what the sender told him. Take an example. If I just say, come here, you may not react with any word, but you just react by coming, okay? So that one can also be another way of responding to the message. Moving on, there is what you call a channel. Can you read for me what you see under channel?
This is the method of transmission of the message from the sender to the receiver. It can be by video,
Okay.
letter, etc.
All right. So we are saying that under channel, we are referring to the medium. How is the message going to move from the sender, then it goes to the receiver? What are you going to use? Are you going to write a letter? Are you going to record a video? Or you're just going to use your hands, movement, body language? What are you going to use? So that one becomes a what? A channel or a medium of communication. Some people just use phone calls. So if you use a phone to call or to reach out to the receiver, still that one becomes a channel because it is the one that is going to help you transmit the message to the next or to the intended person. Moving on, we have another subheading here. It says types of communication. Basically, when you talk about the types of communication, there are only 4, and those are the ones that we always concentrate on. There is what you call verbal or oral communication. With oral communication, we are saying that's the type of communication by words of the mouth. By words of the mouth. And under that, we are saying here, the message is passed on by just speaking. You just speak out the words, and then the receiver will get them, he will react or will respond in what you call a reply. So with verbal, I'm saying the information is just spoken. For example, you can have what you are calling the face-to-face meeting. You call a meeting, people gather at a certain place, then you start airing out your views or discussions. It's face-to-face debates. Yes, you meet and then you start discussing about different topics or topic for that matter. So all of that, we are calling that oral communication. You can also have what you call a phone call under oral communication. If you make a call to your friend, you are using oral communication because you just have to speak out the message for the receiver to get it or to understand. Then a conversation. If it is a conversation, still, we shall correct that spelling there. For the case of conversation, still, you just get your friends and start discussing to them some information or a message as well. Yes, so still all that, provided you are just speaking out the words, then we say you are in or you are using oral or verbal communication. Number 2, we have what you call written communication. Can you read for me what written communication is all about?
This involves writing down the message.
Okay. Then the examples are there. Hope you understand each and every one down there. You have the letters. Are you familiar with the letters, Daniela?
Yes.
Then memos. Do you know what a memo is?
Would you explain?
Okay. All right. A memo is just a short message. Just a short message. And in most cases, this message is moving or it is passed on within the same organization. So if you're passing on information, for example, from the general manager to the production manager, there you don't need to write a letter, but you just write what you call a memo, just a short message. It is moving from one office to another, okay? It is moving from one office to another, but it's within the same organization. If it happens to move out to another organization, then it ceases to be a memo. It is just a letter instead. Hope it is clear now.
Yes.
Then move on to the circulars. Hope you know what circulars are. Do we need to clarify again?
No, I know what they are.
Sorry?
Yes, I know what they are.
Okay. Then the last 2, we have the reports and magazines. Hope these ones are also very familiar to you. Then we have the third category or the third type. That's what we call body or language communication. What do you think this one is all about? Body language communication, I beg your pardon.
Um,
What do you think it is all about?
I think it's about how someone presents themselves.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, as you hear the term body language, you communicate or you pass on the information using your body. Okay? You are not
Yes.
speaking anything, you are not writing anything, but your body movements are communicating some information. And the receiver will understand the message you're passing on just from your body movements. Okay? Take an example.
Yes.
If you nod your head, okay? You nod your head upwards, or you nod your head to the left and right, you are passing on some information.
Yes.
If you just raise your eyebrow, you are communicating again. Some people just touch their ears. Some touch their nose or their mouth. All that is information being passed on. Take an example. If I ask you, have you taken lunch? And then you just nod your head upwards. What will that one signify?
Mm.
Sorry?
Pardon?
If I ask you, have you taken lunch? Then you just nod your head upwards.
That means yes.
It means a yes. But did you say anything? Did you speak any word?
No.
No. So when you talk about body language communication, we mean communication by use of our body. Let your body communicate. Let your body pass on the information. Okay? So we can have examples here. For example, you can look at your screen and see we have what you call eye movements. When you move your
Yes.
eyes, they are passing on some information, and the receiver will be able to interpret what you are saying basing on the way you are moving your eyes. Facial expression. Mhm. Some people put on very gourmet face or faces, and before they say any word, you can easily tell that teacher so and so is annoyed. Teacher so and so is very happy, basing on the facial expression. So your facial expression is under non-verbal communication because you use your body to communicate. You don't speak, you don't write in any word, but you just use your body. Number 3, we have already seen, that is nodding. And then number 4, we have what you call pointing a finger. Some people point fingers as a sign of warning. They are warning you about something. So if it has been bad, automatically there you stop it. But this person has not said a word, but you're already reacting. You are giving a reply. Yes? If he points at you, then it's an indication that he does not like what you are doing. Then for you, you reply or you respond by stopping what you've been doing. So that is what we refer to as non-verbal communication, or what we refer to as body language communication. And we say that this one is commonly used for people or receivers with hearing problems. Okay, now moving on to the next, we have what you call visual communication. That is the next type of communication. Any idea about visual?
Pardon?
Do you have any idea about visual communication?
No.
No idea? When we talk about visual, it comes from the word to see, seeing. Yes? Here you
Yes.
don't speak, but you just use illustrations. So let's look at that and see what it means. Visual. There we are. This is the sending of information through the use of films. Through the use of films, diagrams, pictures, maps, charts, and graphs. So with visual, we are saying you can pass on your information minus speaking any word or minus writing any letter. So you can use a map, okay? You can use a chart to show you information or to show you or to pass on some message to you. So when you use a chart, you are able to interpret, you do what you call decoding. Then you understand what the chart is all about and automatically you have to provide a reply. Having seen that, some people illustrate using diagrams or using pictures. Remember your primary. As you are looking at drawing the map of a tree. Do you remember that, those years?
Yes.
When you draw, you are already passing on information that when I'm up in the sky, this is what I see as a tree. So that is already information being passed on, but you are using what you call visual communication. Okay, graphs, charts, maps, and pictures. They do more here under visual communication. Moving forward, we have what you call the channels of communication, or at times we call them the communication media. How do we pass on our information? Remember, we had our communication process, and we say that for the message to reach the receiver, there must be a channel through which information is transmitted. How will the message go up to the intended receiver? These are the ones we are referring to as the channels. For example, you can use a radio. Depending on the type of receiver that you have, you use a radio to put the message there, and so it will reach the intended receiver. You can use a TV or what you call television. Still, the message will reach the receiver. Then you can use the press. Here we talk about the newspapers, you talk about the magazines and catalogs, all that is under there. So you can pass on the information using that. We can also use the internet, and with the internet we say, this is when you come in with your emails, you come in with your WhatsApps, all that will be under internet. We also have letters. You can write a letter depending on the information you're passing on. So the letter will reach the receiver and it will pass on the very message that you wanted. So those are the various communication channels that we have in communication. I would like to ask a question, Daniela. If you're passing on the message that is confidential, out of those different channels you see, which one do you think is more appropriate? If you're passing on information that is confidential, which one is more appropriate out of all those?
I think through internet, as in through sending an email. Yes.
Okay. Yes, that's fine. You can use the internet and then you use the email in particular.
Yes.
Okay. Any other?
The telephone.
Still, that seems to be delivering confidential messages.
The telephone.
Pardon?
The telephone.
The telephone?
Yes.
Okay, fairly. But remember, this time around, we have many technocrats under that section. People usually hack into your calls, then they tap them.
Oh.
Will that message still be confidential?
No. Letters.
Okay, so we move to the letters. Yeah, I think a letter, yes, letter can work very well because remember, you even address it to the very person you put the addressee, okay? And then that letter will go direct to that person. So I'm very sure the letter will be better here, especially if you're passing on confidential messages. Okay, now another question comes in. If at all you are passing on information that is moving out to the public, what are you going to use?
The press, the television, and radios.
Okay, So you're saying you can use the telephone, you can use the radios. Okay, that one will take the message to the right persons. All right, moving forward. Last time we ended by looking at, or we gave a trial exercise about the communication structure, where I told you to discuss or to write about the upward communication structure and the downward communication structure. Did you have or get any finding about that?
No, sir, I didn't. I would like to get some explaining on those two, the upward and downward.
Pardon?
I'd like to get some explaining on the upward and
So what did you get in particular? What do you have about that assignment we left?
I wasn't able to do it.
You wasn't able? Okay. Shall post it again. Okay. But it was there in the group. It was there in the WhatsApp group. I don't know whether you missed it. Okay, fine. We shall get back and we see what to do that way. But when you talk about upward communication structure and downward, first of all, these are just modes of communication we use in an organization. How is information passed on in an organization like a company? So there is when information is coming from top, the managers, and coming down to the employees. That is the first structure, or what we call the the downward communication structure. Then there are also cases where information is moving from the juniors, or what we call the employees, and then it is going to the managers. So that's what you call upward communication. Okay?
Yes.
So with that, upward information is moving from employees going to the managers. Then downward information is coming from the managers coming to the employees. Okay? That's what we had in that. Then in the next discussion, you will talk about, or you will have to make a presentation for me in our next discussion, probably next week. You find out what horizontal communication structure is all about. Daniela? Hello? Daniela, can you hear me? Daniela, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Daniela, are you there? Can you hear me?